Okay.
Robbie, good to meet with you.
Nice to meet you too, Jace.
Yeah, we're excited to, kind of get more into the nitty gritty of, some of the things that our other guys were talking about. So I guess kind of where are you at right now as far as what you were told from your guy before I came in here?
So my main understanding is that we're pretty much good to go on everything except there's a clause that we're working with, a clause that's pretty standard in our stores, and Hawkins in general doesn't feel comfortable with that clause, and they sent back a proposal to nullify that clause, but it's a clause that is super important to our business model and helping us be profitable. So that's kind of where I'm seeing this.
Gotcha. Yeah, I heard similar things from my guy. I heard that the negotiation went really, really well, but I think what may have happened is it was kind of towards the end after everything, and I think that it may have been a little hasty, so I'm hoping that we can, get down into, why, you guys want that clause, some of the issues that we may have had with it, and really get down to how we can still make it work. Because I know we're really excited to work with you guys. We want to see that happen, but just kind of need to figure out how we're going to go about this and how we're going to do it. And so I really wanted to ask you, so with that clause, it talked, mostly about the subletting, possibly, and as well as you guys have interest in going into maybe different product lines in your stores.
Right.
So right now you guys are soft goods. What can you tell me about the reason for wanting to leave that product line change open? And yeah, let's just start with that. Just kind of what your thought
great
process is.
question. So our main thought process is, especially going into the Hawkins realty chain, that if we have all our product, all our soft goods in there, and those aren't performing well, then we need to switch out those products to have higher performing products and services that continue to let us be profitable, rather than us just taking a loss for the 25-year lease that we've signed with you guys. So we need that flexibility to remain profitable.
Okay, I got you. And right now, like with your current stores, 'cause you guys have stores all over the place, that's why we're so attracted to you guys.
Yeah.
Are you guys all soft goods, or do you have some stores that have already kind of incorporated some of those other things?
So we have, in almost all our stores, it's some hybrid in one form or another. Everyone looks different, and that's kind of actually one thing that we pride ourselves on, and why we feel like we're so successful, is because we've been able to innovate, and we've been able to change this amount of square footage to this, or this amount to that. So everyone's different, and each experience is unique in the store.
Okay,
So
gotcha. And then what are some of those like hybrid types? Because I can tell you the reason that we might be concerned is because, we've been pretty accommodating as far as our negotiation for, square footage, price per square foot, and, all of those rental contract terms. And a lot of our money is going to be coming from those satellite stores. But our concern is with non-compete disclosures that we have with them, that there'd be too much competition and it would, deter or hurt the business of our other satellite stores. And so it would help to know a little bit about what some of those other product lines might be.
So one of the things that we've done in the past is we put in like a kids play center and within discount. And so I wouldn't necessarily say it's like product as much as it's a service line where, they come to shop, but they also come to have some fun.
Okay.
So it's kind of more along those lines than it is so much. Yes, we change product lines, and that's just, any store is going to put in a new this or a new that, but it's pretty much what we do. So
When you have done product lines, what have some of those been?
I'm not for sure on the specifics on those product lines, but that is information that I could get back to you on.
Okay, sounds good. Because one concern is with, just like if you switched over to example to like hard goods, so let's say you're selling like some of the major appliances and things like that, and we have an appliance store. This is just a hypothetical example, and they've been leasing there, and then you guys start introducing your line of appliances, and it creates that competition. It's a pretty small area that we we go to, but the shopping center is going to bring in a lot of customers, so it could really deter them from going to a satellite. And whereas we would love if you guys have your niche in the shopping center and you're attracting the main kind of flow of customers, and then they're kind of getting to shop around, look around, and visit all the other stores as well.
Right. And so I think in some ways we have a similar interest in that we both want, as an anchor store, our service to you is that we're pulling in lots of people, so then they'll go and visit these satellite stores around.
Mm-hmm.
And so if we adjust things within discount, our intention is to drive in more customers, which is driving in more people to the satellites, which is driving in more revenue for both of us. And so if that's the case, then any alterations we're making should help increase the satellite stores' revenues as well. And even if if, for instance, the same example, we're starting to sell appliances, and you guys have an appliance person, it may affect an individual, but as far as to be able to affect such a large majority, I don't believe that concern is, although the concern is real, I don't think we'd be competing with so many that it would be hurting your revenues, especially because we have, our lease is 25 years. Their lease is anywhere from 3 to 10. And so in some ways they're accepting the risk as they're, if they're selling appliances, they're accepting the risk, hey, discount maybe, which is a deterrent against, and that's what I'm kind of gathering, is that you want these people to sign those contracts. But if halfway through the lease we start selling appliances, one store might have a year left of struggling a little bit before their contract's up. So that's kind of, I guess, how we view it. I don't know what your thoughts about that are. But.
Yeah, I mean, where we stand with it is, we want to have a reputation as good landlords, and we include in a lot of our leases to have non-compete disclosures, so that these companies can come in, they know that they're going to have good business, that they're not going to have too much competition. And so it's not, I understand what you're saying, how it would maybe affect a minimal amount of the stores, but it concerns me that word would get around that Hawkins doesn't care about their leasers, and that's not how we want to do business. We want them to feel secure. I don't think that means though that we can't reach a solution, because I do understand what you're saying, and 25 years is a long time to be locked in without some kind of flexibility. So I do hear what you're saying there. Where we stand as far as the contract length, I mean, we're pretty flexible on it, and I think maybe we could come up with some creative ideas here on how to make sure that we both are secure in a longer time position, but allow some flexibility. But before we move on to that, I should probably talk about the subleasing a little bit.
Okay.
Because that's a huge concern as well, and I want to. That for me, that's almost a bigger concern, because with an anchor store, if it gets broken down into smaller shops, then we kind of just become like a strip mall, right? And those can become pretty outdated with time.
Okay.
And people come for those satellite stores that are smaller, and they might not shop around as much, right? If you guys sublease out, break your anchor space down into a bunch of different areas, and then that brings down business for everybody. Whereas if we have that solid, secure anchor, then we know that we're getting business all around. People are going to be a lot more likely to shop around.
Okay.
And so kind of why, I mean, do you need to have, is it more of like a one or the other with the subleasing and the product line, or are both of those things essential? And if not, then which one would be the most important to you to have into the clause?
I would say they're both essential. And just because I thought, discount is just built on the flexibility. That's just how we roll. So if we can't have that flexibility, then it's just not worth it to us to even pursue to be the anchor store for Hawkins, because and we've had 200 other stores, and they've had success in shopping mall centers as well. And so I don't know if it'd be a resource for Hawkins if I was able to connect you with some of the other shopping centers that we've had, so you could see if we're really the best fit for you.
Right.
And so if one of ours, if I could, link you up with someone where we have subletted out our space, where, that's kind of been broke down, talk with them and be like, how has that affected sales? Yeah. Or if we talk to another one where we've changed our product lines multiple times and you could just talk to that landlord one-on-one and, get that feedback to see if discounts business model is really what you're wanting. Mm-hmm. And so would that interest you, or?
Yeah, I would be interested in that. Okay. So thinking of some of those other stores that maybe have used subleasing before, subletting them out, what are typically like the breakdown, like the percentage? Like, is it like tons of like 4 or 5, or is it, more of like a section?
It's more of like a section.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Okay. And can you give me like an example of kind of what that scenario would look like? So
an example would be, we have discount here, and in the year we about know our market about what products we want to sell. Then within that next year, we would evaluate, maybe change some product lines to do some more testing to see what brings in more people, what doesn't. And then if our other product lines really aren't working out, then we say, well, if we got rid of this area of our store that's underperforming, we sublet that out to a bank, or we sublet that out to a McDonald's, or we sublet that out to a number of stores where that can be bringing us in revenue, but still. I don't know if that.
Oh no, that makes sense. So. That does make me feel a lot more secure, knowing that it's not going to be, the store just getting divided into a bunch of kind of like turning into a strip mall, like I mentioned earlier. I have an idea. Okay. Let me run this by you, because a big area where we struggle is with our financing. Our lender is really dependent upon us having a strong anchor store like Discount, and we know that Discount's one of the fastest growing, anchor type stores in the nation right now. Mm-hmm. And so that's why we're attracted to you guys. But we need to know that you guys are going to be with us. What our lender requires is essentially a 10-year minimum. Okay. Knowing that you guys are going to be with us for 10 years, but like I mentioned earlier, that 25-year period doesn't give you guys a lot of flexibility. So to kind of see if we can meet both of our interests, maybe what we could do is we could change our contract to be able to be reevaluated every 10 years as far as like the subletting, and as far as the change of the product lines. So every 10 years you guys can choose if your store is being profitable, if you want to continue to stay in the shopping center that Hawkins is providing, and if you need to make any drastic changes. And from there, that could be renewable up to 58 years. We could round it off to a nice 60. What are your thoughts on that?
Could be a good deal. I also feel that there's still a root kind of cause of concern that the subletting or reassigning is going to bring negative effects to both of us, really. And so, in Discount's experience, that just hasn't been the case. And so I feel like to have these 10-year renewable options, it's like you're taking our word for it and we're taking your word for it, and then we're just seeing where this experience is letting us go. If this was our first time around the block, I think that would be a reasonable path to consider, but we've done this hundreds of times, and this is just what's worked for us. So
yeah, and I hear you there. For us, it's kind of it's just a lot of shopping centers have multiple anchor stores, and this is a shopping center that's really contingent upon your one anchor store. And it might just be that we have a little bit different business model. Just we really want to make sure that our satellite stores feel really secure.
Mm-hmm.
And you said you've done this hundreds of times before. I mean, when subleasing has happened, or product line changes have happened, I guess what are some things that your company has done to make sure that those other stores feel secure, or that they're comfortable with the competition? Just what's some of the experience that you've had with that when you've done it hundreds of times?
Well, for us, it hasn't really been a concern to worry about what the satellites are going to do. And a lot of that is because I would imagine in their perspective, if I was wanting to lease the space and let's say discounts competitors across the street,
Mm-hmm.
that's not going to drive us out. If anything, it makes us more competitive.
Mm-hmm.
And so, even if our own competitor was in the same complex, I mean, even with today's internet, I mean, you're always in competition. So even if, even let's say discount's not there, but if discount's offering a product line that's now cheaper than what these satellite stores can compete with, then we're competing regardless if we're across the street or not.
Mm-hmm.
And so it hasn't just been something we've worried about, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And I understand how you guys, could not be worried about that. It's just, I know that, our satellites are worried about it. And so to have some type of security for them so they know would be really helpful. So I wonder if, there's a contingency clause here where we could, if it hasn't been a concern in the past, then we could put in the clause, if there's no concern, then you guys are free to make those changes. But after a discussion with those satellite stores, because another beautiful thing is a lot of these satellite stores, they have 3 to 10 year contracts,
Right.
and most of those are going to be more on the 3 to 5 period. So if it's really not going to be a concern, if it's not going to be a big deal, then we know that those satellite stores aren't going to have an issue with it. But in the off chance that one of these stores feels insecure, because we have with a lot of them talked about non-compete clauses, then they could talk it over with you, and then from there, with you and with us, and then from there either choose to discontinue their lease at the future date, and then you guys can go ahead and move forward with the subleasing, because those things take time anyways to
Right.
secure the funding, to secure the stores. How do you feel about that?
As you're talking, I was wondering, what if instead of the contingency clause, if we were able to form almost like a board within the meeting itself,
Mm-hmm.
and based off your square footage or whatever, this all owners can come to the board meeting to just simply discuss concerns they're having with revenue. So for instance, it could be an opportunity where if they're not competing businesses, they could talk about marketing strategies, or they could talk about, hey, we've been doing this and that's been helping us drive revenue, because everybody helping everybody brings in more money to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And so if in that board meeting, if they're saying, hey, this product line has come in and has been really, really hurting our business, that could be then in our board meeting. We don't want them to suffer because that hurts us.
Mm-hmm.
We can evaluate whether or not, that's for the greater good of all the shops and it's just hurting one or not. Because otherwise, with that contingency, it kind of puts us in a box to where we have to do everything with the landlord's approval.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just not how our business works.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so and you said that would be based off of voting rights, like per square footage. Did you say something about that?
I haven't thought that way. I don't think that would be a great idea, just because with us having the most percentage, no one would come to the board meeting because discount would rule all, but just simply not even having like voting rights, but just simply not even a place where decisions are made, but just a place where voices are heard.
Mm-hmm.
I think would be really beneficial.
Okay, I like that idea. So would that include? So is that like my only question is that a before the product line is introduced or like an after?
I would say like a monthly meeting. If someone's having a concern, everyone's free to do business how they see fit. We put in a product line. A shop or two shops or a couple shops are voicing concerns about how that's hurting them.
Yeah.
That could be an offline conversation about how we could either, we say this product line, we see it continuing. This product line is just simply a test to see how it's doing in the market. This product line, we actually are discontinuing. So that way, just that free communication can happen to where hopefully both businesses can be courteous of one another. And
Yeah.
so,
Yeah, I like the sound of that because I know you guys are very confident with your ability to work with these other stores and to bring them business. And so I like the idea of the meeting. I would love to see it with, a little bit of, I would love to include in the contract still that before any subleasing occurs or any new product lines are introduced, that it's introduced before kind of the board. So that way any concerns can be trifled out, because I know that you guys will be able to absolve any of those concerns.
that'd be fine.
But as long as it gets approved by all the shopping centers, then you get to move forward there. Or the majority, not all of them, but for the greater good of the shopping center.
Okay, that'd be fine.
You good with that?
Yeah.
Okay. And so, at that point, I think we don't need the 10-year clause, right? We could do the
Stay with
original.
our 25.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So essentially, just to kind of re-break it down, so we have monthly board meetings. Any product change lines, I can't talk. Mouth's really dry. Sorry. Product line changes or any possible subleasing that would have to be, discussed before the board and have
A
an
majority
overall board.
approval.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be fine with us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sweet. Sounds good.
Yeah, sounds great.
Great.